and welcome to Inside the Mind of, a podcast where I dive deeper into the minds of some of my favorite people and people who inspire me in the wrestling community. I, of course, am your host, Katie Kinsey, and with me today, I am dubbing her Canada's favorite content creator, Miss Willow Raven. How are you, dear?
I'm fantastic. That's a great intro. I love that. Thank you.
Feel free to take it, use it however you need.
Yeah.
So, we did a podcast a few months ago,
Yeah.
and it obviously was a wrestling podcast. And with that, I kind of want to know, when and how did you become a wrestling fan?
So it's really like my trajectory is very like on and off. So I
Okay.
started watching wrestling when I was younger. Like I was probably like 4 or 5, but I have no idea how it happened. No one in my family watched wrestling. In
Okay.
fact, like I remember my cousins and stuff making fun of me for liking wrestling when I was younger. And for some reason I was super into it. And like my dad brought me to a wrestling show. It was like a WWF house show. And Papa Shango was there. And I got so terrified that I started crying. And he took me out and he was like, I'm never letting you watch wrestling again. So I kind of like stopped watching wrestling. Got back into it in high school when I was dating this guy who was really into it. The first show that I remember like we started watching was the Raw after Eddie Guerrero died. So like that
Ooh.
was like the first like show that I came back into, and that's kind of like what I was
Oh, damn.
like experiencing for the first time after not watching wrestling for years. Then I went away to college and I didn't have any way of really watching it. And then probably 2014, 2015,
Okay.
I got back into it partially because of Total Divas.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
love Total Divas. And I was like, oh, like the women are actually doing stuff. That's really cool. I want to kind of see like it was also like I had started getting like forming not relationships but like like you feel like you know these people when you're watching like a
Yeah.
reality show, and I was like rooting for them and stuff, and I was like, well, now I feel like I have to support them in another way, so I'm gonna watch these shows. And so I started watching wrestling again and got really into it, and then started going to indie shows around 2017, which got me really into wrestling. So ever since then, that's kind of been like my little journey through wrestling in time.
I, honestly, and that's the fact that you were so scared of Papa Shango. Your dad was just like, no, no, we're done. You're done with this.
Oh yeah, yeah. He took me out of the show, and I went back and looked, and like um I definitely would have had like a great show. Like it looked like it had a really good, card. And not that I would have remembered it because I was like 4,
Yeah.
but um I yeah, just I ruined it for myself.
But I mean, we'll think about it like this: if you didn't like get like kind of scared off, you wouldn't have came back 2 other times.
Right. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and Total Diva. Okay, Total Divas, a
Yes.
fantastic fucking show. Let's just point that out.
Agree. Agree.
Fantastic. Did you have, so like, out of all of the divas who were on there, did you have like a favorite, like two or three?
Definitely the Bellas. Like I love the Bellas so much, and like I just I I don't know, like there was something about them, like they're so charismatic, and you can tell how much passion they have for everything that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's wrestling, whether it's like Birdie B or their wine or like whatever. It's just
Everything.
like everything. And they're so like their their drive is really inspirational for me. Like I love the divas or the Bellas. Also love Natty. Um like I have to, my Canadian girl,
Understandable. Understand.
loves cats. Like how could I not love Natty? She is so weird. And I love her for it. Like what a little weirdo. And I love every bit of it. Like I'm just like you're you're such a strange person that and I just like love it. She seems so caring
Mm-hmm.
and like obviously again like very passionate about what she does and like so driven and like I just also like seeing, she's gone through a lot
Yeah.
and her perseverance for it and just like I feel like she's never really gotten her flowers in wrestling despite the fact that she is a fucking workhorse.
Yeah.
Um and but just like seeing her still just be like, no, I want to like help other women in this industry. I want to like further the sport. Like that's just really cool to me. So yeah, those three for sure. Bree and Nikki and Natty for sure. And like
Yeah.
love Trin.
Ah,
Like
love
Bree,
Trinity.
just I mean, obviously her career has taken an interesting path over the last couple years.
Mm-hmm.
But like love her so much.
Oh.
Yeah.
And like just thinking about like all of the things, like all of the weddings that were on Total Divas, like Brie and Brian. I think Trin and no, it wasn't theirs.
They no, they did because their dad didn't go.
That's right.
Their dad didn't go. And then they had TJ and
Of
Natty's.
course.
And didn't they also have Lana and Rusev? I feel like they had their wedding too because
Yeah.
they had like one in Bulgaria and then they had another one in like Nashville or
Yeah.
something like
I
that.
think that's where they live now, is Nashville.
Yeah.
Hella
Yeah.
weddings.
A lot of weddings.
Hella
But
weddings.
I think I remember like I feel like I saw this somewhere and like maybe I'm making this up and I'm starting some drama. I don't know. But I remember Natty saying something about how like she wasn't planning on having a wedding and then they were like we're going to shoot it for you and pay for it and she was like, "Oh, okay." So they like had the wedding because of the show
Wow. Honestly,
because
that wouldn't surprise
they've
me.
been together for so long that like
Forever.
they could have gotten married at any point.
I mean, at this point, they could have got married when they were like 20. Like,
Right, exactly.
I think they've been together since they were like teenagers. So,
Yeah, like since they were like 15 or something, which is wild,
yeah. And like, I love TJ.
right? I really like
The best.
so sad, but also like I'm glad that he's been able to find a way to stay in wrestling and like
Mm-hmm.
continue to um help and provide guidance and mentorship and like obviously like anytime that someone's like TJ was the one who like produced that match or whatever, I'm just like, yeah, that was a fucking baller
As he
match.
did, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always like, the same thing with Jason Jordan. Like, when injuries like that happen and you think your career's done, you
Yeah.
get to come back in this space. Jason Jordan, I'm pretty sure, is like one of their like highest like producers now too.
Yeah. Yeah. We were actually talking about that recently because we were watching Mania
Of course.
and Edge was there and we were like between like Edge and Bryan Danielson and Paige or like Soraya?
Soraya.
Why like see dang it.
It's okay.
And but like there's so many people that we just like never expected to be back.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, we were like, do we think that we would see like Jason Jordan back or like TJ? And like I definitely don't think like TJ had like a 5% chance of living or something. Like it was
Literally.
like please never ever get back in the ring.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I wonder like who might have another chance. Like Corey Graves, I guess is cleared at
I
some point.
I remember seeing that. Why his was like a lot of concussion based stuff from what I remember,
Okay.
because like he did wrestle in NXT and he was an
Yeah.
NXT Tag Team Champion, which a lot of people forget. which is
Okay.
just a wild. And like, listen, Corey Graves now not really my cup of tea, but Corey Graves back then,
Right.
he, I mean, I'm just saying, Carmella got a good one, but
Yeah.
yeah, I remember seeing something about him possibly being cleared, and everyone thought he was going to show up in the Rumble.
Oh,
It
okay.
is so the possibility of people coming back, and in Brian's case, performing at the caliber he has since he came back, like he's doing 60-minute Iron Man matches almost every fucking week in AEW at
Right.
this point.
I know.
Oh
It's
God.
it's wild. It's I truly like I am glad that people are, especially someone like, you know, um Soraya, who was so young
Mm-hmm.
and like had um their entire kind of career cut so short,
Yeah.
getting that other chance, like that's huge, just like on a personal level. I just hope so much that everyone is just taking
Yeah.
care of themselves. Like that's the thing that I always worry about. And like I and not to bounce around too much or anything, but like when I was watching the Supercard of Honor, and Dante like
Oh.
hurt his leg, like I couldn't get back into the rest of the
Yeah.
show. Or even like I watched I think after that, I think it was spring break, and they like opened with a ladder match as well, and I was just like, I'm so aware when those injuries happen
Mm-hmm.
of like how quickly they can and how quickly it can absolutely devastate someone's career.
Yeah.
And it really took me out of it because it was like a very like real reminder of that. And I just get so nervous. Like I watch a lot of deathmatch. I watch, a lot of like flippy shit where people are like doing like crazy splashes and stuff. And it's just like, you have one body.
Literally.
Please be careful with it. Like I'm so nervous for you.
Yeah, like let's kind of talk about the death matches and the indie stuff, because you're one of the few people I know, like in the Twitterverse,
Yeah.
that go to a lot of indie shows and go to a lot of like GCW and stuff like that. So you said like 2017 you kind of discovered indie shows. How did you discover them, like in GCW, and your kind of love or fondness of death matches?
So I have a friend of mine who she was the first female mod on Squared Circle on Reddit, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
And so she has been into wrestling. She knows more about wrestling than anyone I've ever met. Like the amount of knowledge that she has, like just at a drop of a hat, will be like, oh yeah, this person's reign was like 462 days. And I'm just like, how do you know that? Like how do you know
Yeah,
this?
how do you know this?
And she yeah, and she knows like all different types of wrestling and everything. And she was always going to indie shows locally, and she was like, you should come, like you should come out. And I was like, yeah. The problem that I had, not the problem, but like a lot of my like hesitance
Okay.
was like a lot of the marketing around it. I was like, I don't want to go to like a bingo hall and see like people who can't wrestle.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, trust me, like it's really good. And I was like, is it though? Okay, we'll see. And I got there and I had the fucking best time of my life. And I was like, I was so mad at myself for letting that like kind of preconceived notion stop me from going to shows, because we had a very so I'm like from the east coast of Canada, so we had like um some really great wrestling for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we would get like AJ Styles and like Cody Rhodes
Yeah.
and like Samoa Joe, like when they were still on the indies.
Yeah.
And at the time, like I had no idea who those people were. because I wasn't watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I missed out on seeing some incredible people. And so that kind of sucks. So I wish I would have started going sooner, but I'm glad that I did when I did. So
Yeah.
I started going to shows because of her. Um, and then after the shows, she would be like, "Well, do you want to come over and watch like an old episode of like or episode like an old show of like GCW or something?" And the first death match she ever showed me was Nick Gage and David Arquette.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What a way to get introduced.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, so not into it at all. Like, I was so terrified the whole time. And I don't know how, like, I think I just got desensitized eventually because she kept showing me death matches. And I was like, okay, like, this is actually kind of cool.
Okay.
And so I started going to GCW shows. I went to my first at the Showboat in 2021. Uh, it was Fight Club, and it was John Moxley versus Nick Gage as the main event.
Mm, okay.
And just like seeing it live is what got me, because we don't have death matches where I am. Like,
Yeah.
that is not a thing. The most that we'll get is like maybe a door,
Oh,
like,
there you go.
yeah, so we'll get like a door spot. Um, so seeing it live though, I was like, holy shit, like the energy and just the coordination that it takes to like make someone bleed but not die. It's
Yeah.
like is so impressive to me. But I just find that there's such cool stories and like really cool spots that you can do with deathmatch. And I really like I would love to be able to go to more um deathmatch specific shows. Like I'd love to go to like a no holds barred like
Okay.
show at some point, like ICW. Um, but yeah. I ranted a lot. I rant a lot. I'm
That's okay.
sorry.
No, this is something that I always want people to know. I'm just here to ask questions and
Yeah.
maybe give a soundbite here and there. This is about whoever I'm interviewing. I had
Yeah.
someone do conspiracy theories at one point and the show went 2 hours. Like it happens. You're passionate.
Amazing.
You're passionate.
Yeah.
That's what we got here.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to step away for wrestling for a second. But I know you're a big music person.
Yes.
Now, I know you like I follow you on Twitter. I know these things. Like, you're a big fan of, like, vinyls and records and stuff like that. Out of, like, the collection you have, do you have, like, a favorite or a few favorites? Or if you want to kind of just talk about your music taste in general?
Yeah, so I like it's funny, people always associate me with wrestling, and I think it's because I just talk about wrestling a lot on Twitter.
Yeah.
But like my main passion in life is definitely music. Like I've been a musician since I was like 9 years old. Have been in bands. I've done like the singer-songwriter thing. I worked in the music industry for about 10 years. So I've worked everywhere from like I worked at a symphony for 2 years. I worked at a jazz festival. I used to book and run a festival where we had 150 bands in 5 days. I did like a nationally televised award show for music. Like, so I worked in the music industry for a long time, and it's like something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah.
And so I started collecting records probably in my early 20s. My dad just like didn't want his collection anymore. He was like, yeah, I just like I don't know. I think he's the kind of guy who like doesn't like having a lot of like clutter.
I
So
knew
he
you were going to say clutter.
yeah, yeah. So he's like this is cluttering everything. Like I don't listen to these anymore. I don't want it. So he gave me a bunch of records, his record player, like every like I still have the same record player. And so I started collecting records from it. And I just love the connection that you have with it because like so many times I skip through songs a lot
Mm-hmm.
and sitting down and just putting a record on, like if I'm cleaning or just like, need a little bit of time away from the screen, it lets me really like immerse myself in a record the way that the artist wanted me to. Like
Yeah.
I love making playlists. I usually release playlists like once every 2 weeks or so on Mondays, like my Music Monday stuff. And like that is something I'm super passionate about. So like just being able to see how an artist like wants you to listen to it in order.
Yeah.
Um, but like as far as my favorite records go, my favorite band of all time is this band called the Exploding Hearts.
Ooh, okay.
Super tragic story. They released their album, and then a month later, the entire band got into a an accident on the way back from their first show out of state. Three of them died, and their manager.
Oh my
So there's only
god.
one surviving member. Like it's so tragic, but one of the best, like amazing records, like incredible power pop. Um, and I was able to find the original print signed by three of the members.
Oh wow.
And so that is like definitely my most prized, like one of my most prized possessions in general, but
Yeah.
definitely in my like record collection. Um, just like, yeah, that that band means so much to me, and like having that is huge. But yeah, so music has just always been something that I'm like really, really passionate about. And even like it even goes into wrestling. Like I will like a wrestler based on their entrance theme.
As you
I'm
should.
like, I'm like, ooh, yeah. I'm like, oh, you chose this song? That tells me everything that I need to know about your character. And now I'm invested. Like,
So,
yeah.
like, off the top of your head, do you have like two or three like entrance music that kind of just like brought you into liking somebody?
Shinsuke Nakamura, the
Fantastic.
first time, like that, just like I can't remember which one it was, but he had one of the entrances where it was like just a violin player.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Like
Chills.
goosebumps, like crazy. Um, Sawyer Wreck came out first time I ever saw her, and she came out to X-Ray Specs, and I was just like, yes, like I fucking love that song. I know, like immediately I was like, feminist icon, love it. Okay, let's go. And I was like, you're going to like wreck shit, and I love that. But there's just like a lot of like House of Black.
Oh.
Um, when I first saw, Alistair Black at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still mad that they took that song off Spotify because that was one of my like go-to
It was
workout
so good.
songs. But like when I first saw him, I was like, yes, this is like love spooky shit. Like The
Yes.
Undertaker was like one of my like first like celebrity icons that like I remember just like being obsessed with The Undertaker when I was younger, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like helped me love everything that's kind of spooky, like in and out of wrestling. And so when I saw like Aleister Black at the time, I was just like, yes, this is like the fucking new Undertaker. Like, but obviously putting his own spin on it, and like he has his own personality.
Yeah.
Like the House of Black, just like all of it is just so well put together.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And like what they're doing with Julia Hart is so cool. Like
My favorite.
so cool.
Love her.
Like the trajectory that she's had in character and everything has been such an interesting like storyline.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just like all of it. So into it. So yeah, I think music can be really powerful in a lot of ways, and like in wrestling as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those things where that can, I don't want to say like make or break your experience, but themes that kind of like immerse you in it. Like I always say, the Usos theme is one of the coolest things because you can just bounce and it's just like, hey,
Yeah.
here we go. Like stuff like that, like gets you involved. I always will love like the original Rebel Heart for Johnny Gargano and like Rhea's old This Is My Brutality with like the female singer.
Yeah.
The one now hits but doesn't hit as much. It's stuff like that is just you bring me in, and then I'm stuck. Like I'm here forever. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. So I I was able to go to Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
And I had one of my subscribers who was there, and he found me in the audience, and he was like, "Hey, I have an extra ticket on the fourth floor, or like fourth row on the floor. Do you want to come sit with me?" And I was like, "Yes." So I was on the fourth row on the floor, Elimination Chamber, Montreal, and hearing the crowd sing Sami Zayn's theme, like nothing like it.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's so simple. It's just some O's, like
literally.
But like, it's just like you hear it, and like the entire place was just so full of energy, and like I knew he wasn't gonna win.
Still doesn't hurt. It still hurts just as much.
Oh man, like I knew he wasn't gonna win, but fuck, they made me think that they might, and I was like,
evil.
But hearing an entire, arena just like singing along to it and just like putting every single bit of their like passion and everything behind it was just an incredible experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not really like the whole song, but it's mainly just the "Whoa" for Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Yes.
Hearing it live, because like I just went to SmackDown not that long ago, and it was before Mania, so crowd was real amped up, and hearing it live and doing it live, kind of just like you just get like super excited and like super amped up, like you're about to be in the ring. Like it's such a good experience.
Yeah, that reminds me of, like Finn's just like
the arms. Yes.
Just the arms.
That's all you need.
Like, all you need. Like it's just I don't know. There's just something about it that I just get so hyped up from the entrances, and I think it makes such a big difference. I posted about this, and I don't know if you know the answer to it.
Okay.
But like Adam Page,
yes,
they switched his theme for like two matches, and then went back.
So are you talking about when he had like his death match with Mox?
He had like yes, actually. And then they had it for like 2 songs or like 2 matches. And it was like on the pay-per-view and then one after, and then they like abandoned it and went back to the old one. And I was like, I don't know if it's just like people just couldn't get into it.
Maybe. So I know there was one instance, and I can't remember if it was before or after the pay-per-view. They accidentally played the Dark Order's new music, and as he was coming out, so people were like, wait, oh my god, Adam Page's new music? What is this? Why would you get rid of the... So people lost their collective shit, as they do. Right. It's the IWC.
Yeah.
And then I know specifically for the death match, they just got, I think, just like a one-off for him to use that music. To the little knowledge that I have.
Right. Okay. Interesting. I'm like, also, speaking of entrances, I'm so sorry. I'm like,
no, please.
Like the guns.
Many men. Dude.
I like, speaking of entrances that make an impact through the song, like I never gave a shit about the guns.
True.
Like, I don't really like, they're there, and I'm like, all right, you're doing what you need to do, and like you're advancing some plot, I guess, with your dad, and like good for you. And I'm just like, I've never like cared about them in any like way.
Yeah.
They came out, and I was like, are they my new favorite tag team? Like, they like it's not just the entrance itself. It's like that song somehow gave them like some crazy confidence. Like
Yeah.
the the look on their faces, the way that they carried themselves, all of it seemed elevated.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was just like based solely on the strength of that song and like their entrance for it. I thought that was just a really cool moment.
Those are two people. That is a tag team I never in my wildest dreams thought would come out to Many Men by 50 Cent. Two little white boys from California coming out to Many Men. I was like, excuse me? I was so. And it really had me thinking, oh, fuck, FDR's really leaving, huh? But like,
Yes,
oh, they'll just go to ROH, kind of pull that thing. But
that is totally what I thought was going to happen.
because you don't just give them that,
Right?
and then you have them lose. That's fucked up, TK. That's fucked
I
up.
know. I know. I was like, "Oh, Tony shelled out some money for this. They're staying champs." Like
Yeah, like realistically, how much money do you think that song cost for a one-off?
I don't know because like it's really interesting like to know what licensing costs. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things that go into it and like it goes from like who it is to like how much they're using it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really interesting. Like a friend of mine, her dad was in Cutting Crew, which is the
Okay.
I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
Yeah.
And so like it's so interesting, like it was licensed for the Batman Lego movie or Lego Batman and like
Iconic.
a few other like big movies and stuff. And like it's always interesting. It's always like both more and less than you think it's going to be. Because
Okay.
a lot of it has to do with like how much residual you're getting after the fact. So that's also comes into play. I don't know a lot about licensing because we didn't do a lot of it when I the different places that I worked at, but
Mm-hmm.
I did like facilitate conferences for people who license music and like to
Okay.
see artists and like things like that. But I don't so yeah, no, I don't know.
I was just like
Long
genuinely
answer.
curious if you had like just a random number because I saw somebody like putting some numbers out there. I was like, I don't know if that's really right, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to put I don't want to put a number out there because I don't want to be that person and then someone's going to be like, "Willow,
like
guess what? You're
excuse
completely
me,
wrong."
like the
Yeah,
glass is pushed
exactly.
up. I'm like
Yes.
actually, people like that
Yeah,
piss me off.
I don't want to do that. So, so I'm saving myself from that.
You know what? Good answer. Good answer. I, I
Yeah.
I I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about. I called you Canada's favorite content creator for a reason. Let's kind of dip our toes into the content creation. Uh, I know that you do something different every week or every day of the week
Yeah.
on your pages, like Music Mondays, which music girl, I understand. I'm getting a whole music sleeve eventually, so like I
Love it.
understand.
Love it.
So do you kind of want to talk about how you decided to do something different every day for your subscribers and everything, or even how you go from the music industry for 10 years to spicy content, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so let's start there. So I worked in the music industry for like, yeah, technically like I've been helping like promote shows and stuff since I was like 13. Like I was in the
Damn.
DIY scene when I was younger and like would do a lot of like local all ages shows and things. And then I went to university and like college for music business
Okay.
and then worked in the industry for a long time. The thing with the music industry, it's very like especially here there's not a lot of full-time jobs.
Mm.
I was very lucky. I was never on contract. I always had like full-time, but like for example, I worked at probably the largest like music organization in the East Coast of Canada. And
Okay.
we had two of us that were actually full-time non-contract. Everyone else was on
Wow.
contract. It was me and the executive director. They were the only full-time employees.
Damn.
Um, so it's very difficult to find a job, but it's also like there's so many egos
Yep.
in the music industry. Like I had people call me and like tell me that I had single-handedly ruined like their career because I had put them on at 9:30 p.m. instead of 9:45 p.m. for a showcase, like things like that. Um, it gets to be very difficult. And so I left um for a few years. I worked actually for universities for
Okay.
several years. And I was doing events and that was tough. It was like we were running about 180 events a year.
Okay.
Um and like there was one point that I worked 6 weeks every single day, like every day for 6 weeks including weekends, not a day off. And so I got really burnt out and I ended up taking a 3-month stress leave.
Okay.
And during that time, I was like, well, what am I doing? Like what can I do with my days?
Mm-hmm.
And like how can I like make a bit of money? Um and so I actually had talked to like a wrestling friend of mine and I was like, I think I want to start an OnlyFans, but I don't think anyone's interested.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I look, he was like, I will sign up as your first subscriber, but I promise you that people are interested. And I was like, I don't know, like we'll see. So I decided to sign up. I told myself that if I could get like 24 subscribers in 24 hours, I would give it a month.
Okay.
And then I got 50 subscribers in 12 hours. And I was
Jesus.
like, okay, like maybe there's something there. And so I started, yeah, just doing making content. And at first it was very much like what like part of the reason that I took so long to get into content creation was that I honestly didn't think that I would have one interest from people, but two, I didn't think that I would have the creativity to like come up with content all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where the daily themes came in
Okay.
because it gives me a little bit of structure. So I know that like on Wednesdays it has to be wrestling related. On Fridays it's a little bit more BDSM. On Saturdays I have my story time. So like I
Mm-hmm.
like share a sexy story or like an adventure that I've been on.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me something to plan and like gives me that bit of structure that isn't just like, okay, for the next 3 weeks, I guess just shoot in lingerie and hope that it looks good. This way, I'm like, okay, I'll hold a record and I'll talk about that record. I will show off some wrestling merch. But it also is a way for me to like inject my work with things that I'm passionate about and that are very much about me. And so I think it has like a few things that it does. Like one, it gets people to get to know me a little bit better, which I think is always good. Like I tell people who want to be in this industry, like you can have the best fucking tits in the world, you can have the prettiest face. It doesn't matter if you don't have something that makes people want to support you. And I think that the most important thing is honestly your personality
Mm-hmm.
because that's what makes people like you can see like someone fucking someone on the internet anywhere,
Yeah. Literally. Twitter.
right? Like, yeah, no, people put it on Twitter for free. Like, you
Yeah.
can find it anywhere. So, what are you bringing to the table that's making someone actually want to spend? Like, this is a luxury industry, like people are, it's not a necessity. Porn is not a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what are you doing that is like making someone be like, oh, I do want to pay $10 a month to sign up to you?
Yeah.
And a lot of that for me has been people like liking me on Twitter or like Instagram or whatever, liking my personality and being like, yeah, I want to support you in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Um And so that's part of it, is like showing off my personality in that way. But it just makes it fun for me. Like
Yeah.
I like being able to incorporate all these things that I'm really genuinely passionate about. Like the fact that I get to talk about music as my job.
Yeah.
That rules. Like I get to go to wrestling shows for my job. Awesome. Like there's no downside to it. So that's been really like part of it for me. Um and then it's also just like I I owe a lot to the indie scene for what it's brought to me. Like I've had so many amazing friendships and moments because of indie wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And so for like Wednesdays, I do wrestling Wednesdays. I buy merch from wrestlers to show off on my platform, and it's like if like one person sees me wear like I don't know, like a shirt from Alley Catch, and then they're like, I wonder who that is, and then they go and look out some of her matches, like
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. Like I got to support,
Yeah.
a wrestler both financially and also like be able to hopefully bring new fans to them. Like that's a cool thing for me. So that's partially why I have those theme days, is like to keep me on track, but also to just like have things that I enjoy talking about.
No, and that definitely is, it's something that if you look at like someone's OnlyFans or something, you don't see that. You just see
Yeah.
like, oh, pictures of my boobs and this and that, and then yours is very much like you said, it's creative, it's people getting to know you personally and like learning about, and your personality's fucking awesome, so like why people wouldn't want to know more about you is beyond me. And like you said, like you get to talk about your passions, music and wrestling, and you get to, have fun with it.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's like the biggest thing, I think, to me. Like it's been teased, but like if I ever do like those like NGL things,
Yeah.
people are always like, oh, when are you starting an OnlyFans? I'm like, um I don't, there's this thing called like confidence that like I have maybe once a week. I
Right.
don't like, it's a thing that's like come across my platform a little bit recently, because every
Yeah.
once in a while you post a little thirsty trap on the
Right.
Twitters and people are like, oh my gosh, she's posting OnlyFans no,
Yeah.
it's all just stuff in my phone that I take for myself if I feel confident, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 Sure.
So,
Um,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
oh, I was gonna say, I will say that having this job has actually increased my confidence like tenfold,
Okay.
because I have always been like very self-conscious of myself and my body, and it's like I have to like show off. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's so many parts of me that like I have always like really disliked. Like I don't like my nose. I'm not a big fan of my nose. I literally had someone send me $10 yesterday asking just for a profile photo of my nose because they were like, I really love it. And I was like things like that. I'm like, oh, like people appreciate the things that I don't necessarily love about myself. And that's made me more confident, is like having I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's kind of like it's very validating in some capacities. There's also like a lot of really rough days because like I take like 200 photos and then I post 10 of them. And there's a lot of ankles that I don't like seeing myself in. There's a lot of clothing that I don't like seeing myself in, and like things like that. But like yes, for the thirst traps, keep taking thirst traps. I love it. Like I took so many for so long without ever monetizing it, just because it was like it makes me feel better about myself to like
Mm-hmm.
see myself in like I'm in sweatpants and a t-shirt right now. Like that is what I usually wear. Like
Yeah, I'm in a tank top
yeah,
and sweatpants. Like it.
yeah, yeah. And so it's like being able to see myself in this other way, and
Mm-hmm.
like being able to like express my sexuality in some ways, like has, yeah, made me a little bit more confident. And that's not me being like, you should get an OnlyFans to like boost your confidence. Like, don't do that. But I'm like, I don't think that like someone having like feeling like they're not confident enough to do it, like it comes with it. Like it builds, because like I sure as hell wasn't. Like I was like so scared of posting my first nude. Like I was so worried about it.
Yeah.
Um but like yeah, the confidence comes with time. Yeah.
I feel like that's very good advice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is something like, so these next three questions I always ask
Yeah.
people in any capacity, because I've done mainly podcasters, but a few people who are kind of just like in this, the Twitterverse, the wrestling
Yeah.
Twitterverse, the
Yeah.
IWC, if you will.
Yes.
Um, so do you just have any advice in general, or about anything you do, or if someone wants to pursue a passion, any advice you kind of just want to give to the people watching or listening?
Um that's hard. That's a hard one because it's like so broad, right? But like
Yeah.
I think I think the biggest thing is like I see a lot of people taking to Twitter to be negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you want to, in any kind of capacity, if you want to be a podcaster, if you want to do like YouTube, if you want to be a content creator or anything, like I th- it's like one of those things where it's like you catch more flies with honey. Like I think being a little bit like, not, and that's not to say that like you shouldn't complain about like bad booking or something, but it's like there are some people who just make their entire world so
Negative.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um like I just tweeted about how like I feel like we're in hell because like I'm just reading through and everything is just like the worst news I've ever wanted, and I'm like I don't want that
Yeah.
to ever, like I okay, this is going to get real deep for a second.
Let's go.
Um when I was in high school, I worked at Starbucks, and the Starbucks that I worked in was in a Chapters, which is like a book
Okay.
sell, yeah, in Canada. And I had a girl who worked at Chapters who was like, "You are the most negative person I've ever met in my life." And I was like, "That sucks to hear."
Yeah.
That like, apparently like this person didn't want to be around me because they were like, all you talk about is bad things that are happening. And it's like having this job, especially where I like have to kind of like stop myself from being like, okay, Willow, don't shit on everything. Like keep those inside thoughts and like think of something positive.
Mm-hmm.
And like the amount of people that have like messaged me and been like, I really like your content and stuff because like it makes me forget about the shitty things that are happening.
Yeah.
Um, so much of it is escape, right? Like
Yeah.
porn, wrestling, music, like
All of it.
video games, whatever your hobby is. Like I used to run a pinball league, for example. Like, a lot of different um hobbies and activities. It's like you're using that as an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if you want to be like some kind of a personality, but like I think especially as a content creator and like specifically for porn, you don't you don't want to be like, uh, everything sucks. Anyway, how's your boner doing? Like
I,
it's a
I I
very
want
hard.
somebody to try that though. Out of sheer curiosity, now I need someone to try that.
But right, it's like, oh, how do I like that? That's just kills the vibe.
That kills the
Um,
boner. That's what it does.
kills the boner. So, like, and don't get me wrong, I can be sassy and I can be like, a bit of a bitch, and like I won't like let people walk all over me or anything, but I think sometimes just like realizing what should be an inside thought or like a close friends list thing.
I get it.
um yeah, yeah. But because this is why it's a business.
Hmm.
And if I was following like a clothing business and then somehow I'm hearing about like their divorce from their husband, I'm just like,
It's like, where did this come from?
where did this come from? I just want to buy your pants.
I'm just
Um,
trying to buy jeans.
yeah, like I just want to buy some socks. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Diane, for your divorce. I don't know
Not
if it's right.
Diane.
But like, um, you know, content creation is a business. And like I think that's one of the things that like changes between, are you a content creator or are you someone that has an OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Um like, this is my full-time job, and I've treated it as a full-time job even when it wasn't my full-time job.
Yeah.
And I think that comes a lot with like working in the music industry, like being in a band and being like, this is our brand, this is our marketing for our brand. And like, so that's kind of the advice that I would give, is like, treat it as a business, because that is what it is. Like, how would you want a business to portray itself? Like, and I always kind of hate talking about it because I feel like it's very insidery, and I'm like, I make it sound like I treat everything like customers and like business oriented, but like that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a job. And like, I will fuck anyone up who says that it isn't, because I this is the hardest job I've ever had, but it's also the most rewarding, and it's the one that makes me the happiest that I've ever had. Um, but it's like, if you want to be successful in it, you have to treat it like a business.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I, I've been saying for a while now. So like, this podcast just hit. We're going on 2 years of just
Nice.
me and Savannah, my co-host on the weekly
Yeah.
show. And I've said on numerous occasions to numerous people, podcasting for some reason is the only thing that literally gives me serotonin in my life right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I've like created this little tiny, very tiny empire of the
Yeah.
ShElite showcase, and I just did, let's see, Thursday, Friday, 2 on Saturday, and then today 5 podcasts in like 4 days,
Yeah.
because it's something that I like to do.
Yeah.
And occasionally I go on a rant here and there about things that piss me off, specifically people. It's like people in
So
the
do I.
it's like sometimes it's hard to like not like, you can only let it sit there for so long. You're like,
Yeah.
if I don't let this out, I'm going to explode on someone
100%.
undeserving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I definitely understand what you're saying. Like, you do kind of have to treat whatever it is you're doing, whether it be the OnlyFans or podcasting. Like, I would like to eventually get to the point where I'm interviewing wrestlers. Like, that's kind of my goal.
Right.
Slow process, but I've only been doing this interview stuff for a year.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm growing on, and I'm very much just like, I will swear. I try to be more professional in the interviews, but then I don't really call them interviews. It's just conversations.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm still trying to work on, but I understand exactly what you're saying, though. Like, you do kind of have to sometimes focus it more in a business type aspect.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, like, if people can decide what works for them too, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't ever tell someone to be like, don't be yourself or anything like that. Um, because I think that's when it becomes so obvious that you're not being genuine, is
Yeah.
like, if you like are just on a brand message and that's
Mm-hmm.
all you say, like, that is just as bad as like being too personal. But like, I think there's just like there has to be a balance, and
Yeah.
like you have to treat it in in a specific way. But like I've had people who, you know, are in this industry and are far more successful than I am and have told me things that I am doing wrong and that I don't want to change. Like I've been told that I need to dye my hair like black or brown so
Yeah.
that it's not as like alternative because I'm like, you know, I'm cutting my audience down by not being as mainstream as I could be in my looks. Um, but it's like, that's you know, this is something that I really enjoy and I actually think that it's part of my brand.
It is.
And so, yeah, so I'm like, no, I think I'm gonna keep it. Um, so like everything is always grain of salt,
Yeah.
right? Like your mileage may vary, etc. Um, but I just like I just see so many people, especially with like with OnlyFans, um, and other like I'm also on Loyal Fans. Let me just say, Loyal Fans is like far superior to OnlyFans, but is not as much of a well-known brand, so that's why I usually just say OnlyFans. But
Mm-hmm.
like I see a lot of people who like will post like 3 weeks worth of just like post about their personal life and then they're like also I have an OnlyFans. It's like right, but if you want that to be your job,
Mm-hmm.
you have to like treat it as such.
Yeah.
And so that's like my like people who have an OnlyFans versus like an OnlyFans creator
I get what you're
in my
saying.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a lot of thoughts, but that's okay.
Maybe we'll do another one sometime this year, and you can kind of just like express everything you need to.
Yes, I would love that.
We will definitely do
I
that.
Yeah, I would love that. I honestly would love to do like a seminar or something, but like I've only been in this game for like 2 years. I don't think that I'm like in any position to give a bunch of people advice, but I have thoughts.
That's how I feel too. Like this is only my third year podcasting in general,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
people are like, "That's it." I'm like, "Yeah." I started because of pandemic. I don't know what to tell you.
right.
Like,
But like it's so much work and I think people don't recognize how much it is. Like I would love to have, you know, a podcast or like a YouTube channel or something and I'm like I don't have the capacity to do that. I don't have the knowledge.
yeah,
Like I don't know how to edit shit and like it takes a lot of, you know, skills and time and like it there's so much that goes into it. So like
yeah.
fucking good for you for doing it for as long as you have because like I would have probably tapped out after like 2 weeks. That like the first time I'd have to like edit something I'd be like, oh my god, I don't want to hear myself again. Like no.
Yeah, it's the hearing yourself after the fact. You're just like, oh god, that's rough. But
Yeah,
like, so thankfully, like the weekly recap I do, it's live. So I literally don't have
right.
to edit anything. I just put it straight up to YouTube, straight onto the other platforms.
Yeah,
And this, I literally just add an intro and an outro, and that's it. Because like these aren't
yeah,
live, because having a live audience, I feel like would distract me. ADD is real, so like I can't focus. I try and give all my focus to the person I'm interviewing,
yeah,
talking to, whatever. So
yeah,
like having a second laptop open to try and moderate, no, I can do that once a week.
yeah, yeah.
That's about it.
Fair, fair.
So I always like hearing the answers to these two questions out of just like curiosity for people. So if you could have a like the table for three thing they had on the network, so it would be you and three other wrestlers, dead or alive. Who are you picking and why?
Okay, Nikki Bella, straight up.
Okay.
Um, just like love her, think she would be so fun. And um I think people don't often like people still give the Bellas so much shit
Of course.
and I think they were so integral to where the women are now,
Yeah.
and still are. And so anyway, I would love to have Nikki on. Um, Here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm well aware that like a lot of my wrestling loves are probably not great people in real life. Like um
Understandable.
like my top two are Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Do I want to have a conversation with The Undertaker? I don't think we'd have a whole lot in common. Um,
Fair. Fair.
you know, so it's hard to say. Okay, so definitely Nikki though.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes Monet.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because she's had such an interesting past year
Yeah.
and would love to just have more of her thoughts on everything. And like I'm going to assume that this dinner is like closed so that I can get all the gossip.
Oh, it's literally just you and the
Yeah.
people. There's no one else there.
Yeah, so I want to hear everything that went on.
All the
I
gossip.
want to know. Yeah. And probably Sami Zayn. I just like I I think he's such an amazing person. Like everything that he's done with like Sammy for Syria
Yeah.
is so inspiring, and like I want the very best for that man as a person. Like
Mm-hmm.
um so I think those would be my three. It's like people that I think are very inspirational and that have a lot to say and a lot of stories that they and like knowledge that they could provide, but also just like people that I think are cool to hang out with.
Yeah.
Like I've never been the like, even with music, like I've never been the kind of person who is like, oh, I like need to meet this person because of who they are in their career.
Yeah.
Although I did cry when The Undertaker walked by me.
But like anybody would. It's
Yeah,
like that's not
yeah.
just you.
I was not expecting it. I was also a little drunk, so like
Oh, well then tears
the
get
emotion,
flowing.
yeah, the emotions were not in check. I burst out crying when The Undertaker walked next to me. Um, but yeah, I just like I'm just like, who would I think would be cool to hang out with?
Nah,
And
yeah.
those are three of them. Yeah,
I feel like it's a solid three. I feel like just the conversations between you guys would be hysterical.
I hope so.
Like, especially for Sammy, because like comedy wise, he's so underrated sometimes. Like
Yes.
everything, like with Usi and just being like my dog and like the whitest voice possible, just was so good. Like he made Roman of all people crack. Like that's
Yeah.
top tier. Well done,
Oh
Sami
yeah.
Zayn.
Yeah,
And like
I
I
agree.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also just like love hearing who people pick. It's always like my favorite thing because people are like, oh well, this was my favorite wrestler growing up. This is my favorite wrestler now. This is someone I just want to kind of talk to. It's always just different reasoning, and I always just love
Yeah.
hearing why people pick who they pick. You know?
Yeah. There's like, I like Sean is my number one. He I'm pretty sure is the reason I have terrible taste in men. Like he was my first crush, and like you know,
Yep.
so and I'm just like, I don't know. But do I want to have dinner with him? I don't know. I don't know. So
Now, okay, I'll ask you this out of curiosity: would you have dinner with Sean from like the '90s, early 2000s? Colin contemplating?
You know, I might.
Honestly, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Something about him in the night is just like,
right?
Hit.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah. We'll leave that. We'll leave that.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's okay. So, if you had to, at either this current moment in time, or a specific moment in time, or your entire life, if you could write an autobiography, what would be the title, and kind of why are you picking that title?
Wow. That is a good question.
I ask it to everybody, and I always love hearing that reaction, so thank you.
Yeah, wow. I like joke about it all the time. Like I always like I'll like write a little tweet where I'm like, where did I put this? The Willow Raven story. Um, okay, I think I have my answer, and it's because this is what I was thinking of calling my podcast if I ever had one.
Okay.
Because of course.
Okay.
Here's why. Um I feel like I've had a lot of like weird things happen to me in my life that sound like they're plots of a sitcom. To the point where I had a coworker who was like, if I hadn't been sitting next to you for 4 years, pretty much every day, I would think you were a pathological liar. Because the things that happen to you don't sound real.
You're just living in a movie.
Just really weird things that happen to me. And like every time that it happens, I'm just like, yeah, of course. Like, of course. And like, of course that would happen to me. And I think that that's like because of course. Like that's why it's happening. So I think that.
I think that's fucking perfect.
Thank you for humoring me.
Oh, I mean, but like, so I always tell people, like, it'll draw people in. It's like, oh, because of course, interesting. Like, why is this, like, what is this about?
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. I don't know. I have a really hard time thinking about it. I'm also more of like a cover person. Like I
Describe it.
Like I don't know what the cover would be. I need some time, but I absolutely judge a book by its cover. Like I will pick up a book based solely on the cover every time.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with records, and I have rarely been wrong. Like I have a patented like how to pick a record that I know is going to be good, and it's usually like, are they wearing a leather jacket or a jean jacket or like a striped shirt? Do they like have some song called like Teenage Heart Attack or something? Is it released between 1971 and 1982? Probably going to be great. I have like a very specific like.
I love that though.
Yeah. So the cover would be very important, but I don't know what it would be yet.
That's okay. You're not gonna tell me now. If you think about it, just DM me.
When I
yeah, yeah. I want just a little blurb about me. That's all I need. Just my name.
You know what? Yeah, happy to add you to the thank you list. Acknowledgements.
Oh my god, does that mean I'm Roman Reigns? Are you acknowledging me right
now? Yes.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Love that.
Oh, that was amazing. So this is something I always ask people too, out of like genuine curiosity. It's like I told you before, this is coming out today. Look at me go. And Do you have any, like, future plans to be on other podcasts in the next few months? Or anything you kind of just want to, like, like, a show you're going to that you want to kind of just promote or anything?
Um, I don't have anything planned. I have someone locally who wants to shoot a podcast with me soon, but we haven't decided on anything yet.
Okay.
I'm always open to it. I love doing podcasts and like, any kind of interview. I love doing them. I think it's really fun. So if anyone listening is interested, please reach out. I am really hoping to be at Tournament of Survival, for GCW
Okay.
first weekend of June.
Okay.
It is going to be real expensive for me to go because the showboat is for some reason like $1,000, which the 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 elevators don't work. There's no microwaves. There's no fridges. This hotel should not be that expensive.
What in
But
tarnation
somehow
is happening out there?
I'm so confused. They open that water park and suddenly they're just charging so much. But I'm hoping to get to TOS. If anyone is interested in helping me fund that, please sign up to my pages, or send me some tips, please. Um, yeah, that's kind of what I've got planned is hopefully TOS
Okay.
in June. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And now, Willow, this is
yes.
the chance. You get to ask me anything you want to know. It can be podcast. It can be personal. I'm an open book. I do not care. This is now your time to ask me anything you would like to know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have so many questions actually,
Go for it.
but like I'll try and like narrow it down to just one. I don't want to like
I,
take up all of your time.
that I mean,
Um,
I got time.
I like a lot of the questions that you've asked me, and so I'm like curious, but I don't want to like repeat the questions. So like let me okay, I have one.
Okay.
If you had a movie based on your life, what song would you use for the preview for the trailer?
Ooh. That's not where I was expecting this question to go, and I like it. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, who's gonna play you in a movie? And I'm always just like, I don't
No.
fucking know.
Everyone always asks that one. No, I want to know what the trailer song's going to be to like set the tone.
Ooh. Ooh. Damn. Because it's got so like, I'm really into like pop punky like early 2000s music, like
Okay.
Fall Out Boy I've seen live like 4 times.
Amazing.
So I feel like it has to be something like that, but like what song? That's the problem. Because like you don't want to, because my life is a roller coaster a lot of the time, so you don't want to make it too sappy, and you don't want to make it too like,
Right.
what kind of action movie is this when
Right.
it's not that. um I feel, oh fuck, I don't know. I'm just like staring into the ether trying to figure this out. Well, so one of my favorite songs of all time is called Anywhere But Here by Mayday Parade.
Okay.
So I feel like, I mean, it's not like super slow. It's got some beat to it. I feel like that could be a good trailer song. And if nobody's heard it, like I highly recommend. Mayday Parade's one of my all-time favorite bands. I've seen them live like 8 times.
Oh, wow.
I've met them, got their autograph. Love them in pieces. So I would say Anywhere But Here by Mayday Parade is the trailer song for the movie of my life, which, oh god.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yay. Now you have it in your head. Like sometimes I just like walk around. Sometimes I play like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer theme song when I'm like walking around at night.
Oh my
Just
god.
because I'm like, if anything happens to me, I am ready.
Ready.
I am ready to throw down. Like let's go.
Loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes, it's my ringtone. Um
That's amazing.
A fun fact about me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got anything else you wanna
Yeah,
ask me?
okay. Who is a wrestler that you've never seen live but you would like to?
That's actually funny. I just tweeted that not that long ago.
Oh,
Because I was just, it was like right after Mania, and I was just like, all right, there's too much negativity up on this page. I was just like, to get away from negativity for a minute, and I asked people, I was like, well, who's someone, past or present, you never got to see live or want to see live, and you haven't? And my first answer was Carmelo Hayes.
okay.
I love that man for a multitude of reasons, because, you know. But, and I haven't got to see, like, the newer, like, NXT kids live or anything yet. I went to an NXT house show in, like, fucking 2017. That was back when, like, Undisputed Era was still a thing. And, like, Tommaso Ciampa was champion. So,
Yeah.
that was the last time I really got to see, like, the NXT kids. And Carmelo Hayes is, he's right. He is him. Like, he is the epitome of a star. So, he's one person I would love to see live. That'd be great.
Nice.
I hope I can make that happen. Well, maybe I'm trying to go to Mania next year, so maybe I'll go to the NXT show beforehand too, if he's still there,
Yes.
or he might even be on the Mania card.
Who knows?
We
I
got a
mean,
year.
like, I feel like WWE is about to have a lot of shakeups. Um, we will see where people land and what happens.
Oh yeah, I was actually like surprised. Triple H was like a draft. I was like, but you guys don't stick to it anyways. There's no brand split. You guys can't.
No.
It's not real. Ugh, it's terrible. It's like I mean, cool. I wanted NXT call ups anyways, but like if you're gonna give them to me this way, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
For
Carmelo's definitely like the top of my list, or just a lot of people in NXT in general.
Yeah.
I'd love to see.
Nice. What? Okay, I have another question.
Okay.
Um, when do you feel you're most confident?
Ooh. Oh. It's... See, like I want to say podcasting, because sometimes I'm just like, like I'm in my shit. I'm ready to go. I'm feeling it, and it's crazy because I have a fear of public speaking.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. So like
interesting.
you can kind of see. I feel like I haven't like confirmed it with a doctor or anything, but I think I have like rosacea where my cheeks are just always pink, and that's the
Okay.
reason. But if I'm doing this or like any type of podcast, my cheeks are always red because I'm nervous.
Aw.
And I'm consistently like, that's why I started wearing rings when I podcast, so I can play with it and help me focus
Yes.
instead
Yeah.
of picking at my nails like I used to,
Yeah.
which I'm trying not to do a lot. I still do occasionally, but
Yeah.
so, and like I had to take a public speaking class in college, and like I had to, and I was just like up there like, okay guys, this is what we're gonna talk about. But thankfully for that, I got to like pick my own topics, and I did like the history of music festivals for one of my speeches, ironically enough. And I was in chorus for like 5th grade to my senior year. So, like I was on stage. I had solos, and I was just like shaking, holding a microphone because I was scared. But it was something I loved to do.
Yeah.
But I think over these, it's like I hit 3 years in August
Okay.
of
Oh,
podcasting.
shit, we're coming up on 4.
So we're coming up on the 3rd.
Oh, we're coming up on the 3rd.
Yeah,
Okay,
coming up on the 3rd in August. I don't remember like the date, but I will always remember it was the same Raw that Dominic Mysterio debuted.
Amazing.
Because I ended up doing like a Raw recap with the old podcast I was with that night. So I'll always remember that. And Dominic and I are the same age. Well, he just turned 26. I turned 27 this year. Which is just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But, so I think as slowly, like, I've definitely grown more confident doing this.
Yeah.
And especially if I'm it's also like comfortability with the people I podcast with. Like,
Yeah.
you're amazing. This has been awesome. And like, I have like this core group that like I usually podcast with. Like, the show we were on, I'm not even a part of that show, but I'm on every week.
Okay.
Like,
Interesting.
yeah, like people associate me with their podcast, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
see, it's funny, I'm just on every week because like this is something I like to do and I like talking to them.
Yeah.
And so it's like them, and then like two other podcasts like I'm super close with, like we all have like little group chats, and I've got to meet like 90% of them in person,
Awesome.
like this past year, and like the first time I went to Vegas for SummerSlam. So it's definitely like a comfortability factor, and that definitely helps how confident I am. But it's definitely podcasting. Like, to the long story short, I told you ADD is real today. I don't know what's going on.
No, it's all good. I love hearing about it. I love hearing the journey. Like, I love that.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I've had my own like inside the mind of, but I was also doing shots during it.
Okay.
Oh, it was a turn. It
Yeah,
really
that opens you up.
yeah, there is a clip that is taken very much out of context every time because um Matt, who is on the podcast, he was basically like me in that situation. He gathered questions from all of our friends, and he wouldn't tell me who asked them. So I would answer the question and have to figure out who asked me. And if I got it wrong, I had to take a shot. I got them all wrong. I started taking like quarter shots because I was like, I'm gonna die. And I did throw up that night, in case anybody was wondering.
No.
It was bad news
How many
bears.
shots did you have to take?
Like 15 of Pink Whitney, mind you, and it's awful.
What is Pink Whitney?
It's a maybe they don't have it in Canada. It's like a vodka, but
Okay.
so some people, like my sister, absolutely loves it, and I'm like, you're the devil because that is disgusting. I think it's like some type of vodka. It's not. It was big on TikTok for a while, so everyone kind of just like bought it. And I was at the liquor store one day, and I was like, I'll try it. And then that's like the only alcohol I had, and I was just like, oh fuck, I have to do shots of this. God damn it.
That's a lot of shots. I'm so concerned for your liver, but like I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, that was not a fun night.
No.
That's also one of the reasons like I can't do Pink Whitney because if I throw up from it, it's a big no.
Yeah. I would not I would probably never drink that again.
No, it is once I finished it, I was like, this, I'm never buying this again. I should just burn it. But I have the bottle because I'm just like, I don't know what to do with these. I also just drink like I can do just straight shots of vodka, but it has to be like the brand I use is Svedka, and it's blue raspberry vodka because blue, like the color blue, like the way I explain this, the color blue just tastes good, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like explaining that to people, like I get the craziest looks. Like, what the fuck do you mean the color blue? Like, what drugs are you on?
No,
None.
I get it. Yeah. For sure.
So that's definitely like one, but yeah, that's on the channel. But I tell people, don't even go watch it. It's not worth it. You don't want to, like I said, clips taken out of context because Matt asked me a fuck, marry, kill question, and I was just like, oh, I'll fuck Goldberg because he knows I hate Bill Goldberg with a burning passion. So my friends decided to take that clip out of context and just use it against me any way they can.
Oh no.
Rude. I hope they're all watching. Rude. I tell them this all the time. They're disrespectful. The disrespect I'm shown, especially being like one of the only girls in our friend group. Like, the fuck. The disrespect I am shown.
I'll go beat them up.
I think you might have to.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
Ugh. Oh my god, thank you so much. Do I need to beat anyone up for you? I'm not that strong, but like I can try.
You know, I've got a few people on my hit list, but we'll keep that buried for a bit.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
If we ever have to get to it, just slide in the DMs, baby. I got your
Yeah,
back.
exactly. Perfect.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, want to know, want to ask?
Whew. I think I mean like I could talk to you for hours, but like as far as this goes, we can we can I'm like we can wrap it up.
Like you're like, can we wrap it up?
That's not what I mean, but I'm like,
I know what you're
I could
I know
talk
what you're
for
saying.
ages. Like, so is there anything else that you would like to ask before we do?
It's not something I necessarily want to ask, but I will say, when I was, because I write all my notes for this stuff and for like ShElite, like in general, it just makes me remember things, so I'm not kind of just like on the fly.
Yeah.
I always just kind of randomly grab pens to do it, and I originally grabbed the pink pen to write these, and then I'm answering in purple, so now I have your hair color on the page. As soon as I
Love
picked
it.
pink, I was like, oh, well, I have to do purple as like how I write the answers.
Love it.
So people are telling you to go brunette and blonde. No, no.
Right.
This is
Right.
the brand.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I like, as someone like, so I'm originally just a brunette, and like my hair was, I need a shower anyways, but like I dyed my hair red, like red recently. So everyone's just like, oh, are you naturally a brunette? I'm like, you see these goddamn roots? You bet your ass I'm a fucking brunette. But people just associated me with that for so long, and I was just like, well, I needed the change of pace.
Yeah.
So like,
sure.
I don't care what other people think.
Yep.
I care sometimes, but like, I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
I put on this face, but behind it, I'm like crying. I'm like, oh my god.
I get it. Yeah.
It's the fake confidence sometimes. That's all you really need.
I am filled with fake confidence, and I highly recommend faking it until you make it.
There you go. That's probably the best advice. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much, Willow, for doing this. You have to tell people where they can find you, of course, to get to those spicy pages of yours.
Yes, so you can find me just at willowraven.ca. It has all of my links, including ManyVids, OnlyFans, Loyal Fans, my Wish Tender, my Amazon wish list, and all of my social media. My social media keeps getting banned, so it changes. So the most up to date will always be at willowraven.ca. You can find me there.
And you know what? They should. And
Thank
you
you.
can always, like, I'm telling people, like, this interview was one of the most fun ones I've had in so long.
Oh, yay.
I'm not just saying that because I'm looking at you right now. I'm saying that because ones that can, like, a good, like, this has already been, like, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And so, like, that just, like, we really could probably just talk for, like, 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We definitely could. I'll definitely bring you back on. We'll make it part little seminar, part us just talking.
Love it. Love it. I love it. I'm in. All in.
All in it?
Yes. All in it.
All in it, bruv, as the people decided to call it because London.
Yeah.
And gotta do my own shameless plug here. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at KatieReston13. Linktree, I'm about to get out things ShElite Showcase. Twitch.tv/ShElite Showcase. Typically Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern. YouTube.com/ShElite Showcase. Watch the videos because they're way more entertaining. You can see why I'm laughing at things, how I talk with my hands a lot. This is the Italian in me. Like, this is just how I talk. But if you want to, like, listen to it on your way home, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. ShElite showcases the brand, the little empire, the weekly show, Inside the Mind of, that you're currently watching or listening to, as you should be. This is the interview series I do. All of my past friends have been on here. All of the people. There's about like 20 some episodes. You guys can go check all of those out. I feel like there's been so many and then not a lot at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So, because somebody asked me the other day, they're like, how many have you done? I was like, 20 something? They're like, that's it? I'm like, I know. Every 2 weeks it comes out. I don't know what to tell you. I take some breaks because I don't have a guest. Contacting new people scares me. I don't know what to tell you guys. And then, of course, Heel Tactics _ for creating all of the music that you all will hear in the beginning and the end of this episode, and all of the other shows on ShElite. Again, Willow, thank you so much. I had a fucking blast.
Yay!